You may think you know my story, but there's always another cheating scandal. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review episode 6 of The Real Housewives with No Rooms on Vacation of Potomac. We start the episode off right where we left off at Wendy's burn session where everybody was supposed to talk about their differences, or at least that's what we were supposed to do until Robin lost her damn mind and started screaming at the top of her lungs towards Wendy. Now she's upset, she gets up and she leaves. She's in the van, she's waiting for Juan to pick up the phone in order to go pick her up. He's not going to, but Robin has hope. Back inside, Candace and Ashley, they were doing completely fine last week until the very end where Ashley told Candace, I know everything is good between me and you, but I'm sorry that this friendship is gonna have to go down the toilet in a couple of seconds. Back at Karen's spring party, your husband Chris was actually looking at my friend, and she felt a little uncomfortable. Candace was looking at her like, okay, why are you bringing this up now? We had all this time to hang out, just me and you. You were just at my house, and you never said any of this. Ashley, her excuse is, oh, well, she just told me this recently, and I knew that we were gonna discuss our differences here, so why not bring it up now? But then her real motives comes out because she's like, oh, it doesn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel good when the pendulum swings your way. And I'm like, Ashley, again, don't try to put the heat on your husband on somebody else's husband. So what did Candace do? Candace, hold on, let me get my trusty Candace finger out because this is what she did. She looked at Ashley and she was like, you are one lying, vindictive, nasty bitch. I'm still not over that. So then Ashley told Candace, well, I did hear that your husband Chris was in other people's DMs. Now, why did Ashley say that? Because Candace looks at her and she was like, well, Michael, he leaves you at home to go meet up with this guy. Then she proceeds to say the guy's name that Michael allegedly goes to meet up with. Luckily, the producers, they blur out the name when she says it, and they also put a little flower over her mouth when she does say the name, which I thought it was a cute little effect. She was like, yeah, Michael, he goes to meet up with this guy to go suck his dick. And everybody was shocked about it. Ashley, she didn't say anything. Karen, her eyeballs almost popped out her sockets. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, why are you so shocked about this? Just a couple of episodes ago, we heard you and Ray talking about how you wanted, your eye candy. Don't worry, Karen. I'm pretty sure that Sharice is going to expose you next. We'll get to you in a second. But back to the conversation between Ashley and Candace and this whole sucking dick comment that Candace said. So, as a gay man, I do not want to look too deep into it. I don't want to look at Candace like she's homophobic or anything, and in no way or form do I think that she is, because I like Candace as well. But I could see why the audience or people could seem that the conversation that Candace is having with Ashley has homophobic undertones to it. Because I just don't know. I wish that she would have never said the guy's name to begin with. I'm glad that they blurred it out because we don't know this guy's name. What if they track down who he is and he's not even out yet? Or he's possibly not even gay, or he's even just doing this whole situation with Michael allegedly for money or some type of advancement or whatever. And I personally don't think that that's right. I don't personally believe in outing people like that. I thought that was wrong. And no matter what way the audience wants to assume that Michael is gay, he's this, he's gay, oh, he's doing this, he said this, that, and the third, he officially has. And I'm not even trying to stand up for Michael or anything, because he is trash regardless. But I just don't like how people are always just like, oh, he's this, he's that. Oh, like he's so obviously he's gay. He's so obvious this. He's so obvious that. I personally just do not like that conversation at all. Again, as a gay man, because I know how it feels to be in that situation where people just assume, and you're not even out. You're not comfortable with just being out. And people are just like, oh, look how he walks. Look how he talks. He's this, he's that. He's the F slur, all this and all that. I personally just do not like that. And I just wish that the whole conversation with Michael could just exit the show stage right, like quickly. Like, I don't want to hear anything more about this whole situation with Michael and possibly being gay or him being with men or anything like that. Like, even if he is, so what? And again, I'm not trying to defend him, because right is right and wrong is wrong, and Michael is trash and he is garbage and he needs to be kicked off the show completely. But I just don't like hearing the conversation over and over and over again, because it's almost like it's always talked about in a negative lighting. Like, yeah, he's having an affair. And I can see why people will be like, oh, stop, you're reaching. Because if it was a woman, if Candace was to be like, oh, Michael, he was having an affair with some woman named Jennifer, right? Let's just say Jennifer or Stephanie. Nobody will have a problem with it. But again, because she's alluding that it's a gay man, or a man in general, I don't know. I just feel like there's just some negative tone to it that I personally just don't like. And I wish we would leave that out of the whole conversation, or just off the show in general, because it gives me the same vibe as Sheree from The Real Housewives of Atlanta. where she kept assuming that Ralph was gay the entire season, this past season, and I just don't like that. Again, this is just me personally. We could all feel different, but this is just the way I see it. And again, I'm not trying to judge Candace too hard or anything like that because I don't think that she's homophobic. Ashley tells Candace, oh, well, remember, the pendulum always swings back. It's gonna swing your way too. Candace, she was like, oh, no. Me and Chris, we know better. We know the Lord. We don't do that. And people were trying to say that she was being homophobic in this conversation, and I personally don't see it that way. I feel like what she was trying to say is, oh, me and Chris, we know better because we took an oath under God or the Lord or whatever, and we know each other enough to be loyal to each other, unlike you and Michael. Michael is always cheating on you every 5 seconds, so we know better. That's what Candace was trying to say. In no way do I think that she was trying to say, oh, me and Chris, we know better. Chris would never suck a dick because he's not gay. He's not with that gay stuff. He's underneath the Lord. The Lord does not believe in all that, blah, blah, blah. I don't personally believe that that's what she was trying to say. So, which I find so funny that Candace would use the Lord as a reason for her and Chris to stay loyal to each other, as if people don't believe in the Lord every other day, or they don't go to church every other Sunday, yet they still cheat on their spouses. So it could still be done, Candace. The Lord does not protect anybody's marriages or anybody's vows. People still break them regardless. But this whole burn session, nothing good came out of it. The only thing that burned in this whole situation was Candace and Ashley's potential friendship. So Giselle, her neck and her ankles, they get up, they leave, and she's just walking around. We see Robin. Robin is outside. I'm not sure what she was doing out there for 3 hours. She's trying to get reception. She was like, where's my damn signal? I keep trying to call Juan to come pick me up. So Candace is walking around and she finds Giselle on the balcony. She tells Giselle, can we sit down? Giselle is so annoying. She was like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, for sure. Look at the view. It's so nice, right? Look at the view. It's so nice. We have such a nice view. Let's sit down though. As if Candace and you did not just have an issue a couple of episodes ago. Like, she is mad at you, and you're just trying to be all cute with it. So she sits down. Candace, she's not having any of Giselle's BS. She was like, yeah. The view is lovely. Can we sit down? So she tells Giselle, please explain and elaborate this whole situation between my husband, Chris, and you at the reunion. What exactly happened? Giselle, she went on to say the whole situation between her and Chris, it made her uncomfortable, not because he said or did anything to her that was inappropriate. It was just the fact that they were both in the same room together that made her feel uncomfortable. And again, like I said, I'm not trying to count Giselle out completely yet because, yeah, Chris, he may seem innocent this entire time on the show, but again, you just never know. This might be the one time that Giselle is actually telling the truth. Yeah, it may all seem a little calculated and a little planned and everything, but again, it's just like, I will feel terrible just discounting Giselle's feelings completely. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but every time I do, I'm always just like, Giselle, you're saying and doing something that contradicts yourself, and it's just like, are you doing this just for TV? Like, what are you doing here? Again, like, and then the whole conversation with Candace, she tells her, she was like, I just feel like, you waited for it to be on a platform, aka for this show to start rolling, for the cameras to be out, in order for this to be your storyline. That's what Candace was basically trying to say without trying to break the fourth wall again. But again, Giselle, no, you had all this ample time to tell Candace privately, one-on-one, but now you just so happened to do it in front of the cameras. And again, this is your pattern on this show. So it's just like, if this was something new that we will see from you, then maybe the audience will have your back. Like, you know what? Maybe Giselle is telling the truth. But the fact that you're so calculated with all of this every other season and you go after everybody's marriage every other season has us looking at you like, are you telling the truth? Are you not? And again, it's terrible because we should be believing Giselle because we don't know Chris. And again, I want to believe Chris as well. I don't want none of this to be happening between them because Chris, he seems like a good guy. And Giselle, no matter how, annoying she is to people sometimes, I do like her as well. So Giselle, she was just like, well, I am an advocate for women. And I'm like, you are? Where? I must have missed that advocacy, but nothing came out of this whole conversation. Giselle was just like, well, okay, fine, it's whatever. So she gets up. Candace, she starts crying into her napkin, and that was that. And then here's where Giselle, she just ruins it again because she gets up. She goes back to the Sprinter van to tell Robin everything that her and Candace just talked about, and the group that they just talked about inside. And she was like, oh my goodness, you won't believe what Ashley just told us, that her friend, Chris was coming on to her and he was grabbing onto her butt. And I'm like, grabbing onto her butt? Like, who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Like, Giselle, what are you talking about? Now you're just making up fictional stories? Like, Unless I missed that part that Ashley has said that, oh, my friend said that Chris was trying to grab her butt. I must have completely missed that part. Maybe we need it in a flashback or something, or maybe I should rewatch the episode, because in no way did Ashley ever say that. So again, Giselle, you're trying to add more to the story and you're trying to paint out Chris to be this monster, and it's terrible. So then getting back to Deborah, right? Because Deborah is Ashley's friend, the one that she's saying that Chris, came on to her or was looking at her at the spring party or whatever. Deborah, I went to her Instagram just now, right before I started filming, and her Instagram bio. In her Instagram bio, she has the Real Housewives of Potomac. Like, Deborah, you were on this show for like, what, 2.35 seconds? Like, even less? And now all of a sudden you have the Real Housewives of Potomac in your bio. Like, stop it. But then again, if I was just so happened to see them filming and I just so happened to be in a scene walking in the background, I will probably put the Real Housewives of Potomac in my bio as well. So I guess I'm not too mad at her. Then we see Ashley meeting up with this attorney, and between her and Robin meeting up with her lawyer last week, I'm not sure which meeting went worse, because Ashley, she's sitting down with this woman. She's telling her, well, me and Michael, we have a very interesting sex life. As soon as she said that, if I was the lady, I would have been like, ew, please save some of the details for yourself. You don't need to tell me. I know who he is. Trust me, I've seen the scandals. I've seen Instagram. But Ashley, she goes on and she was like, yeah, we have a very interesting sex life. We're into threesomes and all this and all of that. And I'm a bisexual woman, but, I don't feel like eating ass anymore. I don't feel like eating, everything else. I just don't feel like doing all of that. I just kind of want to be just by myself now. And, I just feel like that was a big part of our relationship. So again, if I was the lady, I would be looking at her like, okay, can you get to the point as to why you're here? I have a client. Ashley, she finally goes on to say, she was like, me and Michael, we have this whole idea that, we will stay away from attorneys and anything with like legal advice or whatever, because we want to do it fairly. We want to just kind of like shake each other's hands, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. That right there, Ashley, that was your biggest mistake. And, I kind of saw it from a mile away a couple of episodes ago when I said it in my review. I said, Ashley, at first I thought, maybe she's going to walk out of this whole divorce with a bunch of money. But now the more she's talking and the more she's explaining it, the more I'm thinking, I feel like she's gonna walk out of this marriage with, let me calculate it first. Let me get my calculator. Hold on. Divide the 2, multiply the threesomes. Then you add the scandals. I think that Ashley is honestly gonna leave this marriage. According to my calculations, she's going to leave this marriage with $2. Maybe $5 if she's lucky. But Ashley, it's just like, what's not clicking up there? It's just like, what did Kenya say? It kills me. It hurts me to see her be so dumb. Like, Ashley, come on now. Like, get a lawyer and divorce his ass. And if you have to play dirty, then oh well. Michael is obviously playing a sneaky game behind your back, and he's doing all of this and he's pulling all these strings behind your back, and you're just naive to it. I'm actually shocked. I thought that she was actually gonna be smarter than this, but she's proving otherwise, and you're gonna end up like having this house that you want, but again, it's gonna come with some type of clause like this woman is telling you. So it's just like, what are you doing? So she tells the woman, so wait, what do you recommend? Do you recommend that me and him get a house together? And that right there, again, the lady was just looking at her like, she's not serious with this stupid ass question. No, I don't recommend that at all. Ashley tells the attorney, wow, when I did my research on Google about divorces, I didn't know any of this. You and Google are telling me 2 different things. The attorney, she tells Ashley, well, sweetie, I didn't get my degree from Google. Now check that. Somebody give her a champagne flute for next season, or even make her a friend of. Then we see Mia, and she's meeting up with her bestie, Jacqueline, at the spa place, which I didn't see any type of spa, any type of massage, any type of anything. All I saw was them sitting down drinking champagne. So the next thing you know, Charisse, she comes into the scene, and I'm like, okay, Mia, Jacqueline, and Charisse, where's the correlation here? And is it just me, or every time that we see Charisse, it always looks as if she just woke up from a nap? And she looks so dazed and confused. Like, she probably just wakes up literally like 5 minutes before they start filming, and they just push her in front of the cameras. And she's like, huh? Oh, okay, am I supposed to be filming? Hey, what's your name? Mia? Hi, Mia. Nice to meet you. Like, that's the vibe that I get with Charisse. Like, Charisse, do you know what you're doing? Like, do you know that we're filming a show? So she's sitting down. All of a sudden, apparently, Mia, that's her new bestie. And Mia, she was like, well, I mean, I really love Charisse. Like, I really, really love her. I really like her. And one thing about Charisse specifically is that I love that she's just so, and she's so suave. You know, she's like the new Grand Dame. Like, I know Karen is the Grand Dame, but I think that Charisse is like the new Grand Dame. And I love that her eyelashes are always falling to the side. So then Mia, she announces to Jacqueline and Charisse. She was like, well, you know, ladies, I'm like really excited, but guess where we're going? We're going to Miami. I'm so excited to be going to Miami with everybody. And I rented out this house, this really, really nice house, and it has 6 rooms. So then Charisse is like, wait, 6 rooms, but there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But there's 9 women on this cast, including me and Jacqueline. We're the front of the show. So what's happening? What's going on? And Mia, that's just a dirty move, and you know it's going to cause conflict within the group. Specifically with Wendy and Candace, the odds are not in their favor, so they might end up with a shitty room, or might end up being roomed together. And of course, nobody wants that on vacation, so why not get a bigger house with 9 rooms overall, Mia? Like, I just don't understand that. I know that you probably have the budget for it, so what's the problem? So she tells Charisse and Jacqueline, well, I mean, everybody, you know, I have some really good news for both of you. Both of you are going to be able to choose your own rooms. So I'm so happy about that. You know, as for everybody else, I mean, I don't know. And I'm also inviting Wendy, but I'm not really too fond of Wendy because Wendy, she just thinks that she's above everybody else. And she just thinks that, you know, she's just better than everybody. And I really don't like her, but I'm inviting her anyway. And I'm like, Wendy does not think that she's above everybody, but okay, let's just go with that whole narrative. And, you know, there's an urban legend, right, that if you and a group of friends go to Miami, supposedly the thing is, when you leave Miami, you leave without being friends together anymore. And I feel like that's a thing, especially seeing how this group is about to go to Miami, and we're about to see how that makes a whole complete left. I remember I went to Miami years ago by myself, but I met up with one of my friends who was there with a group of friends. They told me, oh, you should come out with us. And I was like, okay, sure. So we all went out. We all had a good time. We were all having fun. They were like, oh, we should all go back to our place. And I'm like, okay, sure. It's free, so why not? So we were all having a good time at their place and everything was fine, right? Next thing you know, the Miami curse kicked in and everything went completely left because everything was fine just a second ago, right? Next thing you know, it was like a tornado hit the place and everybody was fighting with each other. Everybody was yelling. Everybody was shouting. People were cheating on each other. And that's a whole different story, but... Eventually, the night ended with all of us getting kicked out of the place that they were staying at. Not me, though, because I had my own hotel somewhere else, so I don't know what happened with them, but... I say that because I do feel like that if you do go to Miami with a group of friends and you don't really know if, you know, the group is stable enough, something is going to happen and that something is probably going to be something bad. So if you have any stories or any horror stories of Miami, please let me know down in the comments. Then we see Giselle and Robin meeting up to go shopping for their outfits for their trip to Miami together. So they're heading out to this boutique. Robin, I told you last week, but I'll tell you again this week, but I just love her hair. I love the red with the blonde streaks through it. It just suits her so perfectly. Giselle, on the other hand, I'm looking at her as she's going through the clothes and I'm just like, oh my God, please pick something nice. Please pick something nice for once. Okay, yeah, I like that shirt. Okay, that's a good choice. No. Why are you putting it down? It looks nice. Giselle, no, please keep walking. No, not that skirt, keep going. No, Giselle, no, not that skirt. Like, what are you doing? Like, my heartbeat was just like, boom, 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 as her hands were just touching the clothes, like, maybe I should get this one. And I'm like, no, Giselle, no, keep going, the next one. You know, this is Miami. Like, Giselle, you need to really try. So then eventually they're accompanied by Ashley. Ashley comes in. She tells them that Michael, her husband, is in the Bahamas. And I'm like, oh, so last week he was in Las Vegas and now he's in the Bahamas. What is he doing? Touring around? Like, what's happening? But she goes on to tell them, like, oh yeah, you know that LLC that me and him were supposed to have? We don't really have it, but he gave me his word. And he gave me a pinky promise that he's going to eventually get an LLC for us. And I'm like, Ashley, you really trust this man through a divorce? Like, you could barely trust him in your own marriage. He was cheating on you, allegedly, every other weekend. And now, for some reason, you trust him completely going through a divorce? Like, you really think that he's really going to try to give you the best outcome for you? Like, I don't think so. But okay, I'm telling you, she's going to end up with $2. Eventually, they start talking about Michael and this person that supposedly he met up with to, you know, suck his whatever. So Robin, she apparently knows this guy. And she was like, oh yeah, he's like a high-end high-end escort or something like that. And I'm just like, okay, so that's interesting. Giselle, she's poking fun at it, and she's like, oh, well, if he looks anything like Juan, then it's probably true. Like, it's probably a real thing, and all this and all that, because, we love going back to that flashback from like 10 years ago. Oh, did he really say that he will suck Juan's dick? Like, they love playing that in every other episode, every season. I'm like, okay, we get it. We remember. We're not going to forget. Giselle eventually starts talking about Candace and Chris and how Chris has been tweeting about the situation between him and Giselle and calling her a liar, and she's upset about it. And I'm like, but why though? You, Ashley, and Mia have all been aiming at Chris this entire season, trying to paint him out to be this monster or this person who's flirting with everybody. So what is he supposed to do? Just stay quiet, especially if you're adding more to the story than what it is. He's not going to stay quiet. He has the right to defend himself. And I do wonder, what is Giselle's motive in this whole thing and the outcome, like in the end? Like, is she trying to ice out Chris and Candace from the group? Like, is that what she's trying to do? She's telling Robin, oh, if Chris was to walk in here right now, if he was to walk in here right now and tell me that I have bad fashions, I will agree with him, but I would never talk to him again. Fuck Chris. And, she's putting that out there, and I just don't think that Candace is going to be that forgiving after everything that she's saying right now. Like, you're saying, fuck Chris, fuck Candace's husband. And again, I just don't see her or Candace having a friendship moving forward. I just don't see any positivity coming between them. We finally get this Miami trip on the go, so everybody meets up at the airport. Karen and Charisse, this is their first time seeing each other ever since Robin's event. So Karen is looking at Charisse like, oh, hey, Charisse, how are you? Oh, you look so nice. Charisse, she's looking at Karen like, oh, yeah, you look nice too. It's just so fake. So eventually they land in Miami, and Mia, she has 2 trucks. So she splits the group down the middle. In one truck is going to be her, Jacqueline, Karen, and Giselle. And the other truck is going to be Robin, Wendy, Charisse, and Ashley. Candace, she's going to come in later because I believe she's going to already be in Miami, but she has to meet up with the baddest bitch. Not me, but Trina. So they're on their way to the house that Mia has for everybody. They're all excited. They're all anticipating it. In Robin's truck, or Wendy's truck, they're talking about the house, and they're like, oh, I hope it has enough rooms for all of us. Charisse, she's not telling them that, oh, it's only like 6 rooms in this house. She wants the drama, so she's not telling everybody. And I like that Robin and Wendy, well, Robin mostly, she could actually be cordial with Wendy. And, her energy that she had last week for her, it kind of went out the window, because here she's kind of interacting with her, but she's not really like, like we're cool, but we're not besties. And I kind of like that she's willing to, put their differences to the side. Eventually, they're getting closer to the house. Giselle, I believe she starts talking to Jacqueline, and she starts questioning her about her marriage to her ex-husband or ex-boyfriend. And I'm like, Jacqueline, please don't answer that question for her, because the second that Giselle finds out that you have a boyfriend, a fiance, anything, a husband, anything with a man, she's going to come after you for next season. So you better hope that you're single. But she tells Giselle, she was like, well, no, we never really got married. We're just like, we're together, but we're not really married anymore. We never got married. And Giselle was just like, oh, okay. Okay, so I could cross you off my list for next season. You're not going to be my storyline. Just watch yourself, though. Eventually, she turns it back to Giselle, and she was like, oh, have you been dating? Are you dating somebody? Or are you seeing anybody? Giselle, she actually opens up a little bit, like 2%. Because we barely know anything about Giselle. Giselle, she was like, well, I'm seeing a couple of guys. I'm seeing 3 guys. I'm seeing 3 guys. And then Karen, did y'all hear what she said underneath her breath? Oh, that's a whole village. Karen, she is so quick with it. Giselle, she was like, oh, no, I'm not sleeping with any of them. I'm just, I'm talking to them. And I'm like, who are these 3 men? I am so curious. If any of you are watching, please comment below that you're the man that she's talking about, because I feel like 1 is probably Jamal. 2 is probably Casper the Ghost. And 3, she's probably just making that 3rd one up. Eventually, they're getting closer to the house. The house is looking nice, but for some reason, everybody's judging the neighborhood. They're like, this isn't like beach weather. This isn't like the beach vibes. Like, where's the sand? Where's the beach? What's going on? Where are we? We're like in a neighborhood. And I mean, I understand, but I mean, I guess eventually they get to the house. They're looking at it and they're like, ugh, it looks like a white refrigerator. What's going on with this? And Robin, who are you to judge this house? Your townhouse was much smaller than this house. And now all of a sudden, because she has a big house this season, now she's looking at this house like, ugh, I don't want to stay here. But the house, to me personally, the house looks beautiful. It looks nice. So I don't get what the issue was. I mean, it looks really, really nice. But the fact that it's not technically in Miami, like in South Beach, that was the issue. Because they're like, okay, where's the beach? And where is South Beach? And then when they zoomed out, they put the little arrow. And South Beach is like all the way over there. They're basically in Georgia. or Alabama, because they're nowhere near like Miami Beach, like South Beach, or any of like, the fun spots or anything. They're somewhere in somebody's neighborhood. Wendy, she was like, I could see somebody's grandmother across the street. So they get some food, right? I believe they have some people there serving them food. And the chef, he's this man, and he's serving them food. He's telling them details about the food. Mia, she's in line with Jacqueline, and she's ready to get her food. Next thing you know, Jacqueline, I think that she did a little oops. She did a little oopsie, because she tells Mia, she was like, oh, Mia, look at the man over there who's serving food. Do you want him on your plate? And I feel like, because Mia, her answer to that was like, oh my God, like, no, like me and Gordon, we're like celebrating our 10-year anniversary. I would never do that. Like, stop it, Jacqueline. I feel like if the cameras were not there, I feel like Mia's answer will be something completely different. And Jacqueline would not feel comfortable enough to tell her best friend, oh, do you want him on your plate? If there was not something behind that. So, I don't know. I feel like when well, no, they have fallen out already. But when Jacqueline and Mia fall out and we see it on the show, yeah, it's going to be real ugly. And Jacqueline, I'm pretty sure that she knows a lot of Mia's skeletons. But we're eventually going to have to see that. So Mia, they all settle down. They're all eating. They're all sitting down. And Mia, she was like, okay, it's time to assign the rooms. So she gives everybody these cards, right? And she named each one of the rooms by stripper movies, I believe. She named them P-Valley. Shout out to P-Valley, the show. I didn't know there was a movie. Shout out to P-Valley. Hustlers, I'm assuming that's the one with J-Lo. The Players Club with Lisa Ray. And I forgot, there was two other, the Queen of Diamonds. I never heard of that or the other one. They all go looking for their rooms. Karen, she got like a little broom closet or something. She was so happy about her room, and I'm like, can you even open up the door? She's opening up the door, and the bed is right there in front of her. And I'm like, okay, so the house obviously is something that looks nice from the outside, but on the inside, I mean, there's not too much space. So everybody's running around. Giselle and Robin, they get paired up together, and Mia, missed opportunity, because you should have had like Robin and Wendy room together. That would have been interesting to see. But even so, Robin and Giselle, their rooms are still nice. Wendy, she has a really nice room as well by herself for a second, right? Charisse, she gets to pick her own room, so she picks out the biggest room. But it has no bathroom, it has no plumbing, it has no window, it has one pillow, it has no blankets, nothing. So she's not happy about that, because in her world, she gets naked and she has to sleep naked, and she uses the bathroom every now and then. Giselle, her problem with Robin is that Robin takes a shit twice every morning. And I'm like, Giselle, we really didn't have to know that. But thank you for that information anyway. Ashley notices that Candace's card is still there, so she picks it up and she hides it. She finds Robin, and she was like, oh, let's find out what room she has. Come to find out that Mia has set both Candace and Wendy up in the same room together. But it's not like Giselle and Robin, how they're both in the same room, but they got two separate beds. No, Candace and Wendy, they're both going to be sharing the same bed together. And I'm like, ooh, Mia, Messy, messy, messy. Now, if Candace shows up to this house and her and Wendy decide to curse you out and everybody else out, I don't want to hear any crying from anybody else, because obviously it's warranted. Because how are you even going to start a trip like this? You're going to have a house with 6 rooms. Luckily, Charisse decides I think she's going to decide to go to a different hotel because she's not okay with her room. So Candace could possibly stay there. But again, even if she didn't, then what? You really expect Candace and Wendy to stay in the same bed together? Like, I mean, it's doable, but who wants to do that on vacation? That's gonna be uncomfortable. Like, oh, Mia, again, pushing buttons before we even start this trip. And speaking of buttons and speaking of messy, she decides to call the one and only Peter Centerpeach Thomas. And I'm like, first of all, how does he have your number? Like, how do they even know each other? Like, Mia, Peter. How does that even happen? But I guess, so Peter, he picks up the phone, and I'm like, oh, here we go. So she's telling Peter, so like, Peter, like, we were thinking about like going to your bar later, and like, it's me, Wendy, Charisse, Karen, and everybody. Like, we're all gonna have a good time, and we were all thinking about going to your bar. Like, what do you think? So Peter, he was like, yeah. I need all the service that I can. But wait, you said Wendy? I don't know about Wendy. And I'm like, ooh, wait a minute, what happened? Because just 2 seconds ago, you were trying to scam Wendy out of all her money. Now you have a problem with her? So he was like, yeah, I have a problem with Wendy right now. I'm not really feeling Wendy, but okay. So I saw the preview for next week, and I saw that he's upset with Wendy because you know how they had this whole deal between them and this whole lounge? Now, Wendy supposedly has been avoiding him. As she should. So that's why he's upset. That's his reasoning for it. So Mia, she was like, wait, what? Like, what's the problem? Next thing you know, oh, the dramatics. It was so dramatics because it was like this tension music, right? Then we see the preview, like a little preview of next week, and it was like later that night, and we see them at Peter's restaurant, right, or his bar, or whatever. We see Mia, Karen, and Wendy. They're sitting next to each other. Mia and Wendy, they're getting into it. Next thing you know, Mia, she throws a whole drink, or at least she tries to, at Wendy, and the drink, I'm not even sure who she was aiming for because the drink went that way. I'm like, Mia, you're literally like 2 feet away from her and you throw a drink and you completely miss. Next thing you know, Mia, she's being held back by security and everything. And if you slow it down, because I saw a slow version of it on Twitter, Mia, she grabs her purse and she hits Wendy with it. And I'm just so curious as to what happens between Wendy and Mia that it gets to that point. Like, I mean, yeah, like Mia, you know, I feel like she's been trying to gun at Wendy this entire time, these past 2 episodes. But again, it's just like, what does Wendy do to you or say to you that you have to act like that? I'm just so curious to see how that whole thing plays out. But what did I just say earlier? The Miami curse. Nothing ever good comes out of you going to Miami with a group of friends. But let me know what you all thought about this whole episode down in the comments below. Bye, everybody. Mwah.